Exactly 1 year ago, Eala wasn't even in the top 50 of women's tennis. She was ranked 65th in the world. Days before that, she lost in the first round of the Canadian Open. Fast forward 12 months, and she's standing on center court in Washington, D.C., holding her first ever WTA trophy, having just beaten the world number 3, Jessica Pegula, in 3 sets. That's not a slow climb. That's an explosion. And today I'm breaking down exactly how it happened, in her own words, in her coach's words, and in the words of the woman who just lost to her. Let's start with the moment nobody expected. Pegula, the runner-up, the top seed who'd barely lost a final all 2026 season, walking up to the mic seconds after defeat and calling Eala an amazing player. Not through gritted teeth. She talked about watching Eala grow over the last couple years, about how tough she is to face, and about genuinely enjoying the atmosphere Eala's fans bring to every tournament. That's rival respect, live, unscripted, right after a loss. Then it was Eala's turn. And here's the detail that actually tells you who she is. Her first words as champion weren't about herself. She turned straight to Pegula and thanked her for an amazing week, specifically praising her forehand and backhand, saying she was still learning from her, even in a match she just won. Then came the thank yous: her mom, her dad, her brother, her team, calling them her inner circle, the people who make her feel like she's not carrying this alone. She thanked the tournament for moving the final to a Monday after rain wiped out the original schedule, and she called it memorable instead of a disaster. Then she turned to the crowd, specifically the Filipino community in DC and back home, and said she felt all the love. She even revealed that the night before the final, she got flooded with messages from friends and family scattered across tour, and that alone made her feel like, win or lose, this tournament was already a win. Now here's the number that makes all of this land differently. This win was Eala's 9th career victory over a top 10 player, and her 7th this season alone. She's now the first player from the Philippines ever to win a tour-level title. 1 year ago, she was 65th. This year, she's beaten Naomi Osaka twice, plus wins over top-ranked players at Wimbledon and beyond, and she's currently sitting 14th in the WTA finals race. That's the fastest kind of rise this sport produces. Not steady, not predictable, just a switch flipped somewhere in the back half of last season. But here's what actually explains how she held it together during that final. Because it wasn't luck. It rained. Play got suspended, restarted, suspended again. Pegula took the first set, 6-4. Eala was down in the biggest match of her career against a player who almost never blows a lead.
Oh, yes.
Eala just beat a 6-time Grand Slam champion on center court, and the way she did it is stranger than the scoreline. On July 4, 2026, Eala walked out at Wimbledon ranked world No. 29, drawn against defending champion Iga Swiatek, the No. 3 seed with 6 Grand Slam titles to her name. Nobody expected a contest. Eala's own serve barely breaks club rally speed. First serves landing around 86 miles per hour compared to Swiatek's 102. On paper, this was a mismatch. 2 hours and 14 minutes later, Eala was on her knees in tears, and Swiatek was walking off center court, eliminated in the 3rd round. The first set alone lasted 84 minutes, one of the longest and best of the entire tournament. Eala fell behind early, clawed back, and pushed all the way to a set point at 5-3 that Swiatek somehow saved. It went to a tiebreak. At 4-2 down in that tiebreak, Swiatek cracked, throwing her racket into her own bag right there on center court. The defending champion visibly losing her composure in front of a full crowd. Eala saved 2 set points and closed the tiebreak 7-6. She never let go in the second set, racing through it 6-2 while Swiatek's game came apart around a string of unforced errors and double faults. 5 double faults across the whole match. Here's what actually decided it, and it didn't come from a coach or an analyst. It came from Swiatek herself in her own press conference. She said the slow second serve was mentally tougher to face than a fast one, because she knew exactly how it would arrive, and still couldn't find rhythm off it. That's the twist worth building the whole video around. The serve everyone calls Eala's weakness, the one running roughly 20 miles an hour slower than tour average, is the exact shot that dismantled a Grand Slam champion. It wasn't power that beat Swiatek, it was timing and disguise. Since her run in Miami in 2025, Eala has built one of the best second serve returns on the entire WTA Tour. And she can send it anywhere. Down the line, cross-court, inside out, inside in, off both wings. This wasn't the first time these two had met. 16 months earlier, in Miami, a far less experienced Eala beat Swiatek in straight sets, a result that barely made headlines outside tennis circles at the time. Wimbledon wasn't the surprise, it was the confirmation. And it mattered beyond the scoreboard. Eala became the first Filipina to reach the second week of a Grand Slam, and the first player from the Philippines, period, to get this deep into a major. There's no academy pipeline back home. No prior generation to point to, just Eala, her brother, and her grandfather running drills after school years before anyone outside the Philippines knew her name. On court afterward, still catching her breath, she said the win meant something she could barely put into words, that for someone like Eala, Alexandra Eala just broke a record no one saw coming. She lost a tennis match at Wimbledon, and her rankings still climbed to a career high days later. That is not a typo. Fans online could not explain it at first. This is the real story behind how a 21-year-old from the Philippines rewrote her country's tennis history, and why losing actually helped her. To understand how strange this is, you have to go back a few weeks before Wimbledon even started. While the big names in tennis got most of the headlines, Eala was working through smaller tournaments most fans were not watching. She played event after event on grass, a surface she had barely touched before this year. That grind led to a strong run in Berlin, where she made it all the way to the semifinal before losing. That single result was enough to push her ranking into the 20s for the first time in her career. The timing mattered. Wimbledon locks in its seeding based on rankings from late June. Because her Berlin run landed right before that cutoff, she walked into Wimbledon as the 29th seed. For a player who had spent most of her career fighting to crack the top 100, that was massive. 1 year earlier, her Wimbledon had ended in the first round. This time, she came back with a title in Birmingham already in hand and one of the best grass court records on tour. She was not hoping to survive. She believed she belonged. Eala's early matches went smoothly. She beat Renata Zarazua to become the first player from the Philippines to win a Wimbledon main draw match. Then she came back from a set down to beat Maya Joint, pushing her into the third round. That set up a matchup nobody expected her to win. Her opponent was Iga Swiatek, the defending Wimbledon champion and the third-ranked player in the world. On paper, this looked like the moment reality caught up with the underdog. The match started on July 4th on center court. The opening set turned into one of the longest and tightest of the tournament, lasting 84 minutes. Both players held their nerve through multiple breakpoints. Eala even served for the set and had a set point, but Swiatek fought it off. The set went to a tiebreak, and this time Eala held on, winning it 7-6. Once she had that first set, something changed. The nerves that could have crept in against a champion of that level simply were not there. She took the second set 6-2, playing with a level of control that overwhelmed her opponent. When the final point landed, the scoreboard read a stunning upset, and center court rose to its feet. That win made Eala the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the second week of Wimbledon. It was also her second career win over Swiatek. She had beaten her once before, back in March 2025 at the Miami Open, when she was a teenage wildcard ranked 140th in the world. After the match, Eala gave an interview that connected with people far beyond the tennis crowd. She spoke about the weight of the moment, about growing up training with her brother and grandfather after school, and about what it meant to represent a country of over 110 million people on one of the biggest stages in the sport. She was in tears, and so were a lot of people watching back home. But the story was not finished. 2 days later, reality asked for a rematch. Eala's next opponent was Jasmine Paolini, a former world number 4 and a Wimbledon finalist the year before. This was a player who had been in these exact high-pressure moments many times. The match went back and forth. Eala won the middle set to force a decider, competing point for point with a much more experienced opponent. In the end, that experience made the difference, and Eala's run ended in 3 tight sets. Here is the part that matters. Nobody walked away from that match thinking Eala had been exposed. If anything, the opposite happened. Paolini spoke warmly afterward about the level of tennis on court.
Just staying.
Linda Noskova beat Alexandra Eala in straight sets to reach her first ever grass court final. And the score alone does not explain what really happened on that Berlin center court. 2 sets, 6-2, 6-4, 33 winners from one player, and a stunning 3-match winning streak from the other that came crashing down at the worst possible time. This is the real story behind that Berlin semifinal, and how it set up everything that came right after it. Before this match even started, Alexandra Eala was the player everyone in Berlin was talking about. She had walked into the WTA 500 event without a big seeding, and nobody expected much from her on grass, a surface she had barely played a full season on. Her first win came against Donna Vekic, the reigning Queen's Club champion, by a score of 7-5, 6-4. Then she beat the world's number 2 ranked player, Elena Rybakina, by that exact same scoreline. Then she took down world number 6, Elena Svitolina, 6-3, 6-4 to reach the semifinal. 3 dangerous names back to back to back. And she had not dropped a single set doing it. That is the player Linda Noskova had to face next, and it is exactly why this match mattered so much more than a normal semifinal. Linda Noskova had her own story going into this one. This was her first ever grass court final on the line, something pointed out directly during the match commentary. She had never made it this far on grass before, and beating Eala here would be the biggest test of her season so far. What almost nobody in the crowd knew yet was that just a few weeks later,